I hope everyone had a good start to 2021, if it was at all possible where you are. Things are of course pretty crazy right now. In this video today I'm going to be talking about my photographs. It's something that I don't normally do. Normally I actually just upload photo videos with little to no explanation, and in this one and going forward I want to correct that. In particular, I want to talk about a type of photograph that I've been taking for the past couple of years. The type that I'm talking about is people walking away into the distance. So people walking away from my camera. It's something that I've been doing for the last couple of years, like I said, and especially lately, photographic opportunities and options have been fairly limited. So I found myself continuing to take these kinds of images, obviously trying to look through some good ones. What I'm going to do in this video is talk through 7 of them, and then apart from the fact that there's limited options and opportunities, I want to talk about one of the reasons why I keep doing these types of photos, and why I go out when I have the opportunity to do so, when it's safe to do so, and continue to try and take some of these images. So that's what I will do. It really all started taking these types of images from me in 2019. To cut a long story short, I decided to do it as a bit of a photographic project. I ended up with different things, different commitments happening to just upload again just a photo video on YouTube, where I took them mostly in colour but then converted them, ended up in black and white. I said I just, as I normally do, ended up putting them in a video and just uploading them to YouTube. Like I said, I'm going to go through 7 of these now, each taken in a different area of Dundee, or kind of around the streets of Dundee. There's a little bit of a story to a couple of them, and then like I said, I will talk about one of the reasons why I continue to do these types of images. The first image that you are going to see has been taken down at the Riverside in Dundee. It is of 2 young ladies walking along the riverside, walking around another of the beds of the riverside. You can see the Dundee rail bridge in front of them, in the background of the image, quite out of focus. The truth is that I've taken a lot of images of women, ladies, recently. Maybe it's a fashion thing, but a lot of the guys are wearing really dark colours and dark clothing, and a lot of the images that I've taken I've dumped because they don't really look very interesting at all. I know the lady on the right is wearing dark clothes. I kind of like the contrast between her wearing a dark coat and the lady on the left wearing the black and white coat, so there's quite a bit of contrast there. Obviously the light is hitting their hair a little bit. The light's never been great really lately, although I think the River Tay looked pretty decent on that day. A few days that I've gone down, we call it the Silvery Tay because it just looked like sheets of silver flowing one of the days that I was down there. I quite like this photo. They've got the flood protection gates on the right, and they're walking along just kind of up to the rail bridge. I quite like this contrast between them. It just images again of people walking along, and again I'll talk about that at the end. The second image, I think this is the only image that I've taken with the Canon 1200D and the 18-400mm lens that I have for that camera. The rest of the images have been taken with the Sony a7 III, with the most of them with the 28-75 f2.8. This is a very decent one. This one again, I was just looking at an example. I quite like it. Again, my photos are never technically perfect or the absolute best of the best, with honour, sir. But gentlemen, older gentlemen, and you can't really tell kind of from the side, but I saw it obviously. This is the side of the Law Hill, and I was just walking down that kind of grass pathway. He was coming up. I'm sure he had the dog with him that's ran off, I think, to the right. He kind of looked a little bit out of breath. I kind of offered him help, but he refused it, and he just kept walking up, and I thought it was an interesting image. Again, that was one of the days where I was just purely looking for examples, and I quite like this one. Again, I like the flowers to be a little bit better and focused. Some of the composition of these is not the best, and I kind of nitpicking lately, looking at these, trying to do this video a few times, but I quite like it. Just gentlemen pushing up these bikes through Law Hill. Fairly simple scene, to be honest. The third image is one that I'm actually fairly happy with. Again, composition wise, a few things, but this is Union Street. Union Street has been pedestrianised for quite a bit of the last year. I don't know what the plans are going forward, we still don't know. But you can see on the left there's wooden seating and flowers being put in front of the couple. As you look towards the midground, towards the background of the image, you'll see small trees and bushes. Similar ones, if you're standing where this image was taken, towards the top of Union Street, because it is a bit of a hill, a bit of an angle, this street, there is some more behind me as I'm taking this image. I like this Union Street and the couple walking arm in arm, a little bit ironic. Didn't even think about that at the time, but I would have liked them to be more centred, but they were actually walking towards diagonally towards the pavement on the right. They went past down the green skip, green bin thing that you can see on the right. They walked down that and onto the pavement down there, so they weren't walking right down the middle, which again, this was one of them. Like several of them, I just had to quickly snap. I'll talk about that in a moment for the next one, but I just had to very quickly snap this. Again, you can see a good view. This is becoming quite a famous view in Union Street here in Dundee. If you look down towards the background, at the background of the image, you can see the building on the left with the brown strips of brick and many windows. That is Site 6, which is eventually going to be council related offices. To the right of that is the V&A Museum, which we'll visit in one of the upcoming images. And to the right of that, if you go to the right of the trees, you can see some of the mast of the RRS Discovery. It's quite a good view. I haven't been able to capture the absolute, especially with the trees there, it kind of blocks the view of the V&A now, unfortunately. But I've not been able to yet stand there and capture the absolute best view best image that I can get of that street view. But it's a fairly decent view. I quite like the view from the top of Union Street. And I like this picture again, composition wise, maybe a couple of bits, but overall, fairly happy with this one. Again, a Sony a7 III and 2875 Tamron lens combination of this one. Would have taken the guy out on wearing the red on the left, kind of 2/3 to the left, coming up. There's all sorts of new edit software that's coming out, but anyway, fairly happy with this image overall. The fourth image, now this is one, again, I was saying, I had to very quickly snap, I had to very quickly take. I was literally about to put as it started the process of putting my camera back in my backpack that I use nowadays, just when I saw this gentleman standing there at the bottom of Reform Street. I have no idea what he was looking at, whether he was looking at the Christmas light decorations that are the blue strands that straddle the kind of the roofs of the walls of the buildings above his head. The blue, I think it's supposed to be Christmas trees or whatever. I don't know whether he was looking at them, whether he was looking at Dundee High School, which is the columned building right at the background of the image, or whether he was looking for somebody in particular. I honestly don't know, but I just saw him standing there, hands in his pockets, kind of modelish look to it, and I just thought, I had to take the opportunity to very quickly take this image. Now that's something that I want to do. If I get the opportunity, I don't know how this year is going to go either, but I want to try and listen to myself a little bit more, and because I continue to think, oh, that's an image, but I don't take it, I want to try and do that this year. Try and listen to myself, even if it doesn't work out, even if it doesn't work, and I get back and edit it, it doesn't look any good, and I can delete it. One of the advantages of modern photography and memory cards is you don't need to worry really about space. Again, the A7 II memory card slots, I never use them, for simulate taking storing the image at the same time. I always cross from one to the other if I film one, but I've got a couple of big memory cards, so don't really need to do that. But like I said, just saw him standing there, very quickly took it. Fairly happy with it. Again, a couple of guys to immediately to his left that are crossing, would like to get rid of them, and a couple of bits and pieces that are not. But sometimes in street photography and taking photos like this, you take what's there. You can't. I know, again, the editing software that's maybe out in the future that you can maybe do that, and I know I've seen obviously demonstrations that supposedly some you can do already, but sometimes you're kind of forced to take the image as it is. You can't just tell people, move to the side. I'm taking an image here. And which, talking of that leads me to my fifth image. I try to be mindful of people when I'm out taking photographs. Like I said, sometimes you just have to take it as it is. Sometimes the composition scene is not perfect, and I know I'm kind of sounding like I kind of know what I'm doing, but I really, that's why I'm kind of do, kind of don't these days. But because I'm a hobbyist, obviously. But this was a kind of related story, because the lady pictured beside the railings, and I do wish the orangey brown kind of light was more on her. It was further down the street a little bit. It would have been improved the image just a little bit, the photo, if the light had been on her a little bit more. But I was just standing basically where I took this, mucking about with the settings on my camera and the lens, taking images of these. This is on the Perth Road. You can see the Dundee Contemporary Arts building behind the trees. The lights have been removed because I went down there a few days ago, another week, to see whether I can get a photo of them in the daylight, but they've already been removed. And I was just mucking about different settings, see what it looked like. When the lady pictured actually stopped just before me, obviously not wanting to get in my way, and I just kind of waved her on, and oh, it's okay, and you'll go on. And anyway, I was quickly just turned around and snapped that. I'm actually fairly happy with this. Again, the light on her could be a little bit better, but I quite like it. The main focus, to be honest, for me always was the lights on the trees. That was the main focus of any picture for me. So, and I quite like the light. There's separate lights somewhere, I'm not entirely sure where, kind of reflecting on the building on the right as well, the brick building. There are lots of bars, restaurants in that end of the Perth Road. I'm not exactly sure where that is. There's lots of building materials there as well. Obviously it's private ground, so I didn't want to go in there, but I kind of quite like this image as well. This is one, I think this 3, and I quite like the last image as well. The 6th image is a fairly simple one as well, and this is basically, I would say, pretty much the opposite view of this 3rd image. This is outside the V and the A Museum. This is the pedestrian crossings right at the junction where you would use to go from the city centre to the V and A. It looks pretty empty. This is just a couple you can see on the right hand side. A couple of people. I'm pretty sure they were walking together. They're just, obviously I think the gentleman's actually been pressing the button, but they're waiting for the pedestrian lights to cross, to change so they could cross. Sometimes you've got to get to the middle bit there, you see, and then press the buttons again to get to right across to the Dundee rail station, which you can see on the left, and that is again Site 6. Yes, that is the name of it, Site 6. On the right, the big building, again that's the same building we saw previously with lots of windows. That it's a little bit grainy, and the light. If you see the light right in the middle of the image, at the near like 2/3 up the top of the image, it's a little bit noisy, a little bit grainy, but it's again a fairly decent image. It's at night, so there's something very little I can do about that. And able to so that I can actually capture things. But looking at it, it's fairly decent. I'm not a pixel peeper, so a little bit of noise, a little bit of grain doesn't really bother me. And a lot of the images I like it pretty much. And again, I could probably go and edit it and research and refine things and so forth. But I don't like to do that too much. I do keep with very basic editings when I can. But again, it's very busy junction that you might think, oh, it's empty, why don't they cross? But to be honest, cars speed along these long roads to the sides very quickly at times, trying to beat the lights or just failing to beat the lights. So it's quite a dangerous junction at times. So you've got to really watch yourself. That's probably why you think it's empty, why don't they just cross instead of pressing the button? It's quite a busy junction. Obviously, cars go various different ways, and if you're not familiar with that junction, it's very difficult to comprehend how cars can go from one side diagonally and then turn down some of the roads. Anyway, it's just a very busy, very different junction. The seventh and final image. I'm fairly happy with this one. Again, some noise, some grain. It doesn't really bother me. This one again is the City Quay near the HMS Unicorn. The building you can see behind the lady, and there's also another lady across the pavement walking up. That is the Apex Hotel. I just really like this. The lady in the kind of camel coat, I'll call it, with the pink bag, blue jeans and obviously brown boots, just walking along. Again, this was another one. There's offices nearby, so whether they were finishing their work there or whatever, I don't know. But there was just a few people, groups of ladies and people walking along that way. I stopped there to balance my bag on one of the kind of blocks that there's there to change lenses. I think that this one I just changed to the Sony 50mm again, just because it was always getting too dark. I thought even for the 2.8 that I had on the Tamron 28-75, I wanted to use this 50 anyway, and literally a few people went past and I thought, oh, I want to get more examples. Again, this was another night I just wanted to get some examples. I think this was one of the nights I was down getting Christmas decoration photos of them, and I just thought, oh well, quite handy, I'll get some examples as well. Of course, I quite like this one. Again, a little bit of noise, a little bit of glare from the light, but I actually fairly like this one. The lady just walking along on her own, walking obviously probably towards the city centre to get her transport home. And you can see to the right, very blurred, you can see red light where the traffic lights is, and that's just along from the kind of V&A museum a little bit. That's kind of going along towards that. And again, it's a very busy, not so very long road. It's a very very busy one. But I just quite like this image of the lady walking along at night. Even see her shadow a little bit. Again, none of my images are technically perfect, but I think a few of them are fairly decent. I think these ones are fairly decent that I've shown you. Those are the 7 images that I've shown you. So what is it that makes me kind of do these images? Obviously what I was going to talk about, one of the main reasons, and obviously like I said, photographic opportunities right now and options are limited or thin on the ground. Obviously one of the main reasons is I want to capture a good image. I want to try and continue to improve my photographs, my photography, and take some interesting good images. And it's honestly the main reason why I continue to do these is basic human curiosity. Obviously I take many of these images from behind people, so they're kind of anonymous, and I think with many of these images it allows you imagination and your curiosity to tick over, so that you can look at these kinds of images, and I saw a couple on the Joseph Mackenzie exhibition at the McManus Galleries recently, Love Letter to Dundee, where you see some images. I think there's only like two similar images, but you see some of these images and you wonder what the story is for these people. Certainly some of these images that I've shown you, you look and your curiosity makes you wonder, well, what has led them in their life to be in that location at that time? Where are they going? What business have they got when they're going? When they get to where they're going, what's going on with their lives? Who are they? And you can make up your own story. You can make up a story from the fantastic to the very mundane stories. You can make them up and go in whatever direction you want, whether they're out meeting somebody for the first time, or whether they're just getting some shopping. You can make up whatever story, and that's one of the good things about it. With some of these good images, not talking about mine, but these similar type of images, you can make up your own mind of what they're doing, where they're going, what exactly is going on right on that image, which is what obviously some good images, some obviously, photography is like, a lot of things. Some things you'll look at and you'll wonder, okay, I wonder, some mysteries. Some photographs will be mysteries. You don't know what's going on, and it allows the viewer to use their own imaginations, try and think about what is going on, and others will show you the story. So photography is a mixture of that, where some will let you see the story and you can immediately know what's going on, and others, like these types of photos, will leave you wondering, okay, what exactly is the story? Who is that person? What they're doing? And that's what I like to do in my better images. What I like to do is try and capture those types of images. So leaves you wondering, okay, what exactly is that person doing? Where are they going, etc. So that's part of the reason why I can try and capture these types of images. Overall, some of them, like I said, I'm happy with, some less so, but I hope to continue it depending on what this year. I don't know what this year is going to be like for opportunities. It's very limited, difficult right now. I've got to limit myself in doing these, but going forward, hopefully get some more, hopefully capture some more interesting ones, and if I do, maybe I'll make another video talking about some more.